Welcome back to Firestorm Games, and in this video we'll be taking a look at some of the long-awaited Sisters of Battle by building the Triumph of St Katherine miniature, and talking about what's good and what's not so good as we go along. So the first thing that comes to mind when you look at this miniature is Catacross from the Osiarch's Bone Reapers range. A miniature which we've already covered on this channel. Like that Age of Sigmar miniature, this Triumph of St Katherine is a collection of several small miniatures grouped together into a larger scene. In game terms, they function as a single miniature, but much like their AOS counterpart, as the miniature takes wounds, it becomes less and less effective. This mechanic is designed to reflect the individual Sisters of Battle getting wounded and falling in battle. It's a pretty cool system that seems to have replaced the older command squad style system that was common in older editions. You get all the individual benefits of the squad, whilst you still allow for these larger centerpiece type models. I suspect that it's likely to be a template that I'm sure we'll see more of in future releases. Anyway, back to this miniature. The Triumph of St Katherine consists of 6 individual Sisters of Battle surrounding the remains of St Katherine, who has been laid to rest on a hoverbed of sorts that is helped along by some cherubs. So as you can imagine, there's a lot going on here, but let's try to break everything down. The 6 sisters each represent a different embodiment of a martyred saint from each of the main orders that make up the Sisters of Battle as a whole. Additionally, they each carry a particular relic that relates to said order. For example, way at the back of the procession we have the embodiment of Saint Sylvana, with her particular relic being a banner of the Argent Shroud, carried on her back. With the exception of this particular sister and the sister who leads the procession, each of the miniatures are clad in long hooded robes rather than the normal armour worn by battle sisters. While there are some slight variations in attire and equipment, they are quite uniform. The embodiment of St Katherine, who stands at the front of the model, is clad in much more recognisable power armour. She is also armed with a particularly formidable sword and carries an innately styled shield. This makes her stand out far more than the rest of the procession, due to her being the only one carrying more obviously offensive weaponry. The rest of the miniatures are not quite as well armed. Instead of regular weapons, we have formidable equipment such as a plate of petals, a mannequin arm, and a flaming sambuca. Again, these are unlikely to do much damage at face value, unless of course your opponent is recovering alcoholic with hay fever and an irrational fear of clothing store dummies. However, they do all carry holstered bolt pistols secreted beneath their robes, but this distinct lack of firepower clearly distinguishes this miniature as being a buff and debuff generator rather than taking on a more direct battlefield role. So now that we've covered the aesthetics of the miniature, let's talk about how it all goes together. The base is, for the most part at least, a single piece with a few additional rocks to glue on. It's incredibly well sculpted for something that probably won't be seen all that much. It makes for a great platform to mount the rest of the miniatures onto. Each of the sisters are their own standalone piece that features a small tab in the bottom that allows them to be slotted into place on the base. This is kind of a double-edged sword though. On the one hand, it makes for a more stable join and a good starting point for magnetizing, but on the other hand, it does severely restrict where the models can be arranged without having to worry about filling in the remaining holes left in the base. The floating plinth is designed well enough to make it appear to be floating along while still having some clever joins to the base. However, my biggest gripe with this kit are the cherubs that fly above it. So first of all, these look really cool. How they're positioned and sculpted makes them appear to be fluttering above, carrying their scrolls and symbols. They're all really characterfully and unique as well. Something that's totally unnecessary but really adds to the quality of the sculpt. My problem with these guys is nothing to do with how they look, it's simply practicability. I can almost guarantee that they will end up getting broken at some point or another, be it storage, transit, or simply catching them with your sleeve when you're reaching over them during a game. Parts of them are quite thin and flimsy, so fully expect damage to occur unless you're planning on placing this into a glass display cabinet. Now that we've discussed a few parts of the kit and seen some of it being built, let's finish the construction and see how it looks fully assembled. And here we have the finished kit. As you can see, it looks extremely impressive once fully assembled. The miniature would definitely stand out if used as part of a larger Sisters of Battle force. While there are some practical issues, it's very hard to deny how great this and all the new Sisters of Battle sculpts are. If you do go for it, I would highly recommend part assembly before painting, or even magnetizing the various individual aspects of the procession in order to make them a little more manageable. If you're looking to pick up a Triumph of St Katherine for yourself, you'll be able to save yourself a little bit of money by getting at least 10% off the RRP by checking out the Firestorm Games web store, which you can find a link to in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave your comments and subscribe to be kept up to date with all of our future videos. And so we should say a big thank you for watching this video, and we hope to see you again on Firestorm Games.